Welcome back, Truth Seeker, September 24th, 2019. Somebody left a really great comment, and I feel terrible that I didn't do a screenshot of their comment because I can't find it now. But they said, hey, count up Tom Brady's passing yards through his first three games of the 2019 NFL season, and you'll see it sums to 911. And this is very curious. On September 11th of this year, we saw the New York Mets score 9 runs on 11 hits. Now, Tom Brady, after facing the New York Jets, who his NFL career began against September 23rd, 2001, when Drew Bledsoe was injured, on the 18-year anniversary of Tom Brady starting his career, he faced the New York Jets again. And remember, that game against the New York Jets was after September 11th in New York City, where jets flew into big buildings, where coincidentally construction began the same year the Jets won their Super Bowl. The same season. Preseason was getting underway when construction began on the World Trade Centers in August. And the Jets won the Super Bowl to conclude that year. 1968, the same year World Trade Center construction began, 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. George W. Bush graduated from Yale in Skull and Bones. And 2001, Space Odyssey came out. But here, let's just do this real quick. 341 yards, his first game, 264, and then 306. These are his yards. And if you do it in your head, you know what? Just for people who sometimes, when I do my live stream, people are surprised by how fast I can add up numbers. But anyone can do what I do. You just have to learn this simple technique. If you're adding up big numbers, 341, 264, 306, some people might call those big numbers. If you just add row by row, so like 3 plus 2 plus 3, is 8, so you have 800, and then if you add the next place over, the middle column, 4 plus 6 is 10, so you add one more, so you're bringing the 1 over. It's just like, you remember when you were in elementary school and you did this? You get 900, so you have 8 plus the 10 brings the 1 over, so you have 9. And then in the last column, you have 1 plus 4 plus 6, which is 11. So you have 911. And you can also do that from right to left. I always, for whatever reason, for me, doing it left to right was always easier. I'm backwards in some things. But anyway, 911 yards. And you can do that without a calculator. Especially if you write it down, it's easier, right? 3 plus 2 plus 3, 8. And then 4 plus 6 plus 0 is 10. So you know you got to carry that 1 over. So the 8 plus the 1 from the other column is 9. So 9, 0. And then the last one, 1 plus 4 plus 6, 11. 9, 11. And here, just in case you can't do it or you don't want to do it right now and you don't believe me, let's add it up just to verify. 341 plus 264 plus 306 equals 911 yards. And just think about it. You know, Tom Brady came to be, you know, what he was with the New England Patriots after September 11th in the Patriot Act. And in the language of gematria, Patriot and New England both summed to 99. September 23rd, when Tom Brady took over, the day leaving 99 days left in the year. But seriously, what are the odds of that? 911 yards after this big anniversary, 18 years, starting quarterback. I mean, unprecedented. And then against the team that it all began against. And then he faced a quarter from who was making his first career start from Washington State, like Drew Bledsoe went to Washington State. They were both the 199th pick of the draft. I mean, all this stuff is astronomical. And then you have things like 9 runs and 11 hits on September 11th, 2019, in the baseball game, Mets versus Diamondbacks. You know, 9 runs, 11 hits on 9/11, September 11th. The 2001 World Series was the New York Yankees instead of Mets versus the Arizona Diamondbacks. So, and then this just days later. And I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of cross-referencing of sports for baseball in Super Bowl 54 this NFL season, because Baseball equals 54. The word baseball equals 54. 54 outs in a game. A lot of NFL QBs are also baseball players, even drafted into Major League Baseball. So anyway, 9-11. And the Jets and the Mets are kind of like, the stepbrother sports teams in New York. That might hurt some people for me to say that, but it's like, in baseball, more people cheer for the Yankees. In football, more people cheer for the Giants. The Mets and the Jets, you kind of get the secondary treatment. But here, in case you missed this, just to go over this quickly, I have a video on this on my sports channel. The night before the Patriots played the Jets and Tom Brady got to his 911 passing yards, and again, for anyone who's mind blown about this, just realize that this stuff goes on all the time. All the time. It's just some riddles are easier for people to understand because everyone knows about 9/11. But as I've been explaining for years, these games are rigged from the final score to the box score to the hash mark, at least the way they record it in the stat books. Because it is just on point game after game. And a lot of people come across and they're like, that's impossible. But you just watch game after game. It looks like it's pretty well executed to me. So anyway, this happened the night before the NFL game was played. This is the 100th NFL season, and the Washington State Cougars are in their 100th season as a football program. And Drew Bledsoe, who got injured against the Jets September 23rd, 2001, where Brady came in the game and the rest is history, he went to Washington State University. When Tom Brady just played against the Jets and got to 911 passing yards for the season, he faced a quarterback making his first NFL start who went to Washington State University like Drew Bledsoe. He was the 199th pick out of the NFL draft. Tom Brady was the 199th pick out of the NFL draft. 199 is the 46th prime. Michigan equals 46. Tom Brady 46. Patriots 46. Number very significant to Brady, who did lose in Super Bowl 46 to the Giants. But anyway, Washington State quarterback. And then right now in the NFL, the young sensation is Minshew, the Jacksonville quarterback, who replaced the injured Nick Foles, who just beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Minshew, who also went to Washington State University. On Saturday, September 21st, he was part of the television broadcast of the Washington State Cougars late night football game. And Cougars don't get too much primetime football. But Minshew's there. He's the sensation of the league. So check this out. Washington State was up 49 points to 14 points. Huge lead midway through the third quarter and lost this game 67-63. Notice the name Gardner's 67. He was in attendance. He's the alumni. He's the talk of the NFL right now. The cameras keep going to him during this crazy comeback, which had a lot to do with him, which we'll elaborate on. But Gardner equals 67. The winning score ended up being 67. 67 is the 19th prime. It's 2019. Washington State loss was 63. WSU 63. And in light of there being a Brady parallel, remember he became 6-3 in Super Bowls last year. In his 307th game as a NFL QB, regular season, postseason. 307 is the 63rd prime. And the name of the stadium, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Gematria, sums to 307. 307, the 63rd prime. You see? 63. Daniel Jones equals 63. Jones equals 63. Bucks equals 63. Did you catch that this weekend? The Giants won 32-31, 63 points. It was a date with 25 numerology in Super Bowl 25. Giants equals 25. Giants won Super Bowl 25 in Tampa, where they played this past weekend. They won because of a missed field goal in the last second, just the same way the Giants won in this week's game at Tampa Bay. 34-yard kick, no good equals 34. What they write in the stat sheet if you miss. No good, 34. 34-yarder, wide right, just like Super Bowl 25. On the 25 date numerology, Giants 25 win in Super Bowl 25 tribute. This stuff goes on every week. I'm just trying to mix this in real quick. There's so many examples. Week after week, if you learn this knowledge, you can see exactly what they're doing, just how scripted this is. But anyway, the final score was 67-63 in this miraculous comeback. That's 130 points. That stands out right away because Washington equals 130. And from Minshew's birthday to the game with the Patriots and Jets, with the WSU quarterback making his first career start against Tom Brady, who took over, filling in for the Drew Bledsoe character from Washington State, to that NFL game was 130 days. The night before football ends with this crazy comeback, 130 points. Most guys turn on the TV in the morning, probably hungover, new games on, not even realizing, having a clue about how rigged and scripted all of this is, how controlled it is, how corrupt it is, and just how easy it is to see through when you have this information. The video I did on my sports channel, I had all this up within moments because we'd already looked at a lot of this before the games were even played. Before these games were even played, we were talking about how it was interesting that Luke Falk, the Washington State quarterback who made his first start against Brady this weekend, it was his 269th day of his age, and he's making his first career start against New England Patriots, 269. It's like this week after week. Shows that these guys are very special pawns on the chessboard. It's like they were crafted just perfectly for their future planned role in the future planned and rigged scripted seasons, which are like ongoing storybooks of corruption that's stolen the time and energy of the masses, by the zillions. That's what it's all about. It's all about stealing the energy. Because, the revolution should have happened a long time ago, but the manpower spent it all on the football season. And in the modern era, they spend every last second on their fantasy football team. Also, this guy, his birthday just couldn't have been any more perfect. Again, this is how you come to appreciate that there are multiple ciphers and they're all used within the base ciphers. Notice New England Patriots is 269 the big way and 98 the small way. And from this guy's birthday back to the game, his upcoming birthday is 98 days. His 269th day of his age, spanning 98 days to his upcoming birthday. Tom Brady's 98, New England Patriots is 98, Patriots is 98. Patriots lost the Super Bowl to the Eagles in the 98th NFL season, and if you go back and look at the Eagles' history of championships pre-Super Bowl era, they're all on dates with 98 connections. 98 numerology. So, been scripted a long time. Again, if you got Netflix, watch Ken Burns' documentary on baseball. And in one of the early episodes, they say the word was conspiracy. All the games in the early days were rigged and scripted to create excitement and to control gambling. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. It's just more people are sucked in now because of the television. That's also, just to go on a side topic, in the era of clearer television screens, that's why they've had to come up with all this replay. It's just because they can't get back if you watch the TV 20 decades ago, if something was placed or if the ball touched the ground before the receiver caught it, you couldn't pick those things up with the lack of clarity in the screen. The new TVs, you see everything, so now they have to review more, and then even sometimes with the review, they still come back with some BS answer, but they still ultimately control the game. It's just they have to do a little bit different now that the fans can see more. Think of the Terrell Owens catch years ago in the end zone. Was it Owens or Rice? Packers, 49ers in the playoffs. That would never fly in the modern era. Anyway, this This headline about the quarterback, Luke Falk, knows all the tricks. You see how they emphasize those words? Not an accident. Knows all the tricks equals 220. His first game against Brady was 220 days after the birthday of Drew Bledsoe, who Brady replaced. National Football League equals 220. So they code that in the headline, 220. 239, that's exactly how many wins Tom Brady was on before this weekend's game was played. He got his 240th win. You can verify that right now. His 240th came against the Jets. And think about 239. That's like 23/9, September 23rd, the day that he made his debut against the Jets. 23/9. He comes into the game with 239 wins, picks up his 240th. They coded it in the headline before the game, you know. So 239 is the 52nd prime. The quarterback he faced with that quote, his name's 52. Both 199th picks of the draft. Again, WSU in their 100th season. 18 years later with the Jets ritual. This QB, what happened right here in this game is he had 7 touchdown passes, and he tied the passing record of Gardner Minshew, and they made a big deal about that. And then when that happened, Washington was up 49-17 midway through the third quarter. They ended up losing this game 67-63. The quarterback got to break Minshew's record, but also got kind of humiliated in a massive comeback late. And yeah, it's Washington State. Washington, the 42nd state. The word Freemason equals 42. George Washington, the Scottish Rite Freemason. The week began on the NFL week began on September 19th, Thursday, the day leaving 103 days left in the year, 103 days after the death of Andrew Jackson. And 103. The word Scottish equals 103, which should be up there against Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, what American football is credited to, the network that works by this code of letters and numbers. Don't forget Thursday night football, the first one of the season, Packers-Bears. It was 103 days from the death of Bart Starr. Packers won 10-3. Rodgers equals 103. State Farm equals 103. That picture with that State Farm commercial with him and Mahomes debuted that night. Bart Starr was the MVP of Super Bowl I, where the Packers beat the Chiefs. 103 is the 27th prime. The NFC has 27 Super Bowls. The AFC's next is 27. And by the way, Brady, when he played in his first game, September 23rd, 2001, the score was 10-3 that year. Scottish 103. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. And prior to this past Sunday's game, it had been 103 weeks since Brady had last lost at home. So he extended it to 104th week. And, you know, that's probably what they were communicating right through this headline. Knows all the tricks. By Brady winning, he moves on to the 104th week. He was at 103 weeks since his last home loss. So that game was 50 days after Brady's birthday as well. Brady, circle 50. Anyway. And also, just to remind people about how sick the rituals are, going back to 1968, the year the Jets, the season they went on to win the Super Bowl. This year on September 11th, you had the death of T. Boone Pickens, big oil man who has a football connection through his stadium. T. Boone Pickens is 68. Pickens is also 77, like September 11th, like World Trade Center, like the year Tom Brady was born in. Tom Brady born August 3rd, 77. 83. Football equals 83. This year on September 11th, New York Times had the story about the woman who survived the 68th floor. Again, terror equals 68, so does CIA. That's what it is. It's a terrorist organization. September 11th, 2001, 1968. Again, when World Trade Center construction began, when 911 became the national emergency dialing code, the New York Jets, think about it. Think about the sick joke with the New York Jets and the whole 9/11 ritual. Rig sports, social programming, social distracting. George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones. 2001, A Space Odyssey. Major assassinations, MLK, RFK, by the numbers. The World Trade Centers opened on April 4th. Tragic day in history. Same day MLK was assassinated in 1968. The World Trade Centers would open April 4th, 1973, 5 years after construction began, or nearly 5 years. But you had the story of 68-year-old Al-Zahari in the news on September 11th, 2019, making sure you know he's 68 years old. You know, you got Donald, the other walking 9/11. And it's just the same stuff year after year. So, if you got here late, again, we began with how Tom Brady had 911 passing yards in his first 3 games of this NFL season, this historic season. And he did it against the New York Jets, who his career began against 18 years earlier. And again, 9/11, the Patriot Act, and the Patriots. And September 23rd, again, day leaving 99 days left in the year, Patriot 99, New England 99. So, I didn't know gematria back then, but I knew sports were rigged, and I knew government was a joke, and I couldn't believe that people couldn't see what was going on. From the lies of 9/11 to then all of a sudden the Patriots becoming the greatest football team ever, with this quarterback that has no agility, no speed. Somehow, some way, his line is just the greatest thing ever in the history of NFL lines. His receivers, somehow they're just remarkably 5 yards, wide open almost every time the ball's thrown to him. It's like, it's weird. It's not going on in any other football games. Nobody sees this? Well, besides Peyton Manning's games. It's just such a joke now. I haven't watched that much football this year, even though I spent so much time decoding it. I turned on a Packers game, though, and I heard Aaron Rodgers calling out cold cores, like as his play call at the line, and they had the, like sometimes how they turn in like the audio box so you can really hear what's going on down there. It was like they did it for that play, and then Aaron Rodgers is calling out cold cores. Meanwhile, while there's, advertisements of, frozen trains driving through mountains full of Coors Light. I mean, it's such a joke. And, with regards to the T. Boone's oil Pickens thing, think about what goes on when you watch a football game. A small percentage is the game. I mean, a football game's only an hour long, and a lot of it's just, in the huddle, stalled time. There's not really a whole lot of action, but you watch just for those moments that you love, I guess, as a football fan. And, most of the time is filled with beer commercials and car commercials. And cars and oil, I mean, it's all right there. It's all right there. Junk food, beer, and more I notice medicine. Apparently everybody needs more pills. So, just wanted to give it a little trial run here, make sure the live stream works. It looks like it does. Thank you everyone who subscribed to the new channel. Looks like we got 62 people viewing. It's like the old days. Till next time.